Welcome, guys, everyone, to TA Talk. Today, we're going to be talking
Okay,
about
I'm back.
nice. Today, we're going to be talking about macro markets. Also, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and why is everything on red. So, let's get started with me saying you hi, turning on my camera. What is up, guys? And guys, if you were
Bro,
not
I'm
yesterday
long. What are you
here,
talking about?
what?
I'm long as Donkey Kong right now, bro.
You're long right now. Everything is red. Everything is red, man. I mean, if you caught the very bottom of that week, that would be fantastic. Well, knowing you, you caught the very tippy bottom of it.
Not the not the bottom, but I'm 93 2, 93 2.
93.2. Let me
I'm doing
get that.
okay.
I'm on XRP, by the way. I'm looking at XRP. But let me get back to Bitcoin. All right. XRP need a new Bitcoin. 92. Holy moly, man. All right. We need to talk about that. Let me bring it up first because I was expecting a dump today. Yesterday, we talked about the numbers coming out today, not having a good look, right? And if we didn't have good enough numbers, well, then that meant that we could be having a retracement on the markets. Well, we see all the traditional markets red. We see also daily red bubbles. Let me get started here, and then I'll pass it over to you, my friend. 1 second.
Let's
All
see
right.
it there, Mr. Red Bubbles. Oh, by
Absolutely.
the way, I gave
Yeah.
short this morning too from the top.
Oh, right on, bro. That is amazing.
Cooking
I
today,
haven't been
baby. I'm
trading today.
cooking.
Nice cooking with gas. In fact, my entries when I was not in here when my entries started ringing. I was on my way to the office, and I wasn't able to take them. But nonetheless, Litecoin is one of those that I am trying to get in. So everything in red on the crypto bubbles, just Floki. Well, only that Dexy, or I don't know how you say that. Other than that, Firecoin, huh? Well, how would you look at that, right? And Monero, come on, Monero. All right, I mean, we only need EOS pumping, right? That will be just the what is it? The top of the pie. Other than that, let's take a look at what I had for today. So we're expecting a possible retracement, right, based on the data. So my target for the retracement, it was somewhere around 91,954. I still think that we can nail that, especially because we are on a possible reversal pattern. This pattern is not complete yet. This could be a rising wedge at the top of a bullish market, or it could be a channel, right? And I'm expecting that this transforms into somewhat like a Bart Simpson. So other than that, oh well, this also could be a rising channel. This actually was the original picture, but now that we have a little bit more candles, I would say it's looking a little bit more like a rising wedge. So I'm expecting to get a little bit more downwards movement. That is because we have 1, 2, 3 accumulated cross of VWAP. Not only that, we're aiming downwards, and I don't see it just now making the flip of the ribbon. I think we might have just a little bit more to go in that locally, and I will say locally because that's what I'm expecting to get to my entry zone and then bounce up. My better area for entries, it's going to be somewhere, or it is somewhere around 89, and that is because daily we have dynamic reactor coming in strong here. Let's just leave it a second. There we go. We have dynamic reactor coming in strong. We have the bottom of a megaphone, and also, well, we have a support shown here by my red box of entry. That's what I got. No entries on Bitcoin. But let me pass it over to you, my friend, because I'm just hearing that you're having a fantastic trading day. Let's see how you have
Oh yeah,
doing in
man.
the morning.
Magic. Well, I don't know. Like I think they're shaking people out right now. Like what I could see if we look at it here is like we had there's still like in my opinion there's like if you look at on-chain data there's a lot of buyers right here. Lots of buyers coming in. I think it's CVD if you look at something like I don't know, CVD. I think this is what I was looking at here. Yeah, lots of buyers just ramping up into here. It's not something I check a lot, but I'm always looking for where liquidity is, right? And this is like a suggestion of continuation. That's kind of what I got from that. Now, whenever there's news like we had today, there's always it gives the opportunity for the market maker to dump the market, right? So what did we get this morning? Double top, roll over, dump the market. I'm currently long now. Equal lows, right? Like simple market structure here. You got a big old box. It's just like if you bounce from here, you want to look to buy, right? Targets all the way down. We have, this low. We had this low, right? And we were looking at this on the live stream, but you want to see, I always talk about a reaction on price, right? You want to see price come in and leave, right? Then you can be confident to buy, right? If it doesn't leave like it did here, it just keeps going, you don't buy it, right? So pretty simple this morning. The short, we can talk about the trades this morning. So we, at the end of the day, I was a little bit pissed off with this one. We had the short literally from here. Oh, see, I got stopped out on the news. Okay, so I got short right here. Now this was a very nice cheap trade. Okay, so what we have is we have overextension this morning. Okay, we have a break in structure to the downside right here. So what am I looking for? I teach you guys this all the time in here. I'm looking for a retest of previous lows. This is like as basic as you can effing get, okay? Like as basic as you can get. And this is what I look for all the time. Like all the time. Okay, so you break down, you break structure, you come down here, you're looking to come back up and touch this little thing and then roll over. I took the short, dude. Such a piss off. Look at this, man. So we get short on this wick right here. Okay. I take TP1, stop loss to entry. And look, the news data comes out and it tags my stop loss.
No. You
Bro.
gotta be kidding me. Oh, man.
What a bullshit, right? So what happens? We dump, right? We dump and there's like ample opportunity. Like you guys know that. Then we're looking for the retest in here for a short. Okay, we're looking for the retest in here for a short. And we got it. We got it. So you guys know I teach this to you guys as well, right? Whenever there's an order block, you look to sell at the order block, whether it's here. Stop loss goes above the wick of the order block within that range. Okay, if there's a wick higher than this, you bring the stop loss above it and you look to continuation trade. Okay, so that was that one. Now I didn't take this trade here. I was just my live stream was crazy this morning because they had we have like a giveaway for the mods. So there's lots of chat and super chats and wasn't fully paying attention. So that was the retest into the order block, continuation down. Okay, and then obviously just rugged everybody all the way down, all the way down. And then in here, we come down to, we blast right through our first bounce level. We come down to our second bounce level and we recover. Okay, so this to me is sufficient recovery. So we've pushed down, we've recovered. We put in a higher high and a higher low. I got long right here. Okay, and took this puppy back up here. That was my first trade. Then I got long right here. And this is the one I'm currently in. I've closed out some profits already. So I've re-entered for long. I'm just looking to see if we get a V-shaped recovery in here. So I am, Mario's going to win. So we're still in
Nice.
93,730. 93,730. So we're right in here. Very cheap trade. You guys may want to know what this is. I'll show you guys. I think Daggett DT knows about this, but so for me, I trade sometimes I trade it's called an orb strategy, open range breakout. Okay, and there's a way to set up your indicator for the orb, okay? So you're going to come in here. Okay, and you're going to go into your Dynamics Pro, everybody. Hopefully you're following. And we can do a little mini lesson on this one day if you guys want. Come here and turn off the triangles. I don't know why the triangles is on, man. Why is the triangles on, bro? Tell them to turn this thing off. Whenever
Because
you
I
load
told
it.
them it's your favorite feature. They turn it on then.
Bastards want to remind me how much I hate triangles. Okay? You come into here, you go into your New York session, okay? So you turn on your New York window here. Everybody, I will copy and paste this for you guys so you have it in here. Okay? You want to configure your time. Okay, this is going to give you a window. You see the window that's on the screen right now? It says New York, okay? This is going to be your first 15-minute candle from 9:30 to 9:45. So let's mark out that 15-minute candle. So that's 10:30. The 15-minute candle is actually this one. Look how big the orb is today. So this is your first 15-minute candle. So you're going to go back into here, and you can see that our orb right now is off. So we want to adjust our orb to match that 15-minute candle. So we go back into our indicator here, and we change this 4:30. We're an hour ahead, so let's change it to 13:30. It might be different for all of you guys, okay? So you want to change it to the 9:30 to 9:45 Eastern Standard Time candle, okay? And that's going to give you your orb, okay? So I can delete these trend lines now off of here. Now, orb is just a fancy way of saying open range breakout. So the orb is literally just a support and resistance of your first 15-minute candle. I typically will mark it out manually. And you can change the background here, right? You can get rid of this. I'd get rid of all the fill in here and just keep it nice and clean here. Our bright blue box here, okay? So we got our beautiful orb here, right? Let that load. And you have an orb. Now you have your New York orb. Yeah, baby. Okay. Okay, so you have a New York orb, and this will print every single day for you now, right? So you will get your New York orb every morning. And all it's going to do, it's going to give you support and resistance levels. Now, there's a couple of strategies. What if I'm on US doesn't make a time frame difference, New York time frame? It's your market open, first 15-minute candle. 9:30 is market open. It's your first 15-minute candle. It's the top and the bottom of the candle. That's it. Okay? Now look at this. We can trade based off of this as a support and resistance. Okay? So it's going to give you direction. It's going to give you support and resistance, and it's going to help you make decisions. So we go into like a 5-minute here. You can see that I got long off the orb this morning, right? So a break into orb. Okay, you can trade just like a support and resistance line. You can trade a rejection down. You can trade a retracement back into orb. You can recover the orb and continue out of the orb. I typically like to treat it as support and resistance, okay? But it's going to give you setups throughout your day, and it's actually really effective, and it actually helps you guys. It'll actually help you guys navigate the charts. Okay, if you start losing the orb, okay? If you start losing the orb, let's say we break down here, right? You can look to trade with that direction, right? And we can go into many examples if you want of just how I trade it. So just a mini lesson we can go through of how I use it every single day to help me kind of navigate the charts. Okay, so when we go into here, we can go into a couple examples here into yesterday's open. Okay, so let's go into yesterday's 9:30. So 9:30, right? 9:15, 9:30. So there's our orb candle right here. There's one, and there's two. I like to mark it out myself and put a little crystal ball in front of it. That's just me though. So you can see how even yesterday in the chop, you were able to get a nice long off the bottom here. So it showed you direction, okay? And then you had a retest of the bottom of the orb. You could have got long off of that. You get extended from the orb. You come back into the orb aggressively. You retest it. You break down. You retest the orb again. You break down again. So there's multiple trades the other day. So what do you mean when you say something is a cheap trade? Can you show an example? I will show you the trade that I'm in right now, even if I get stopped out. Okay, I'll show you. I just want to keep going over the orb, and then I'll show you a cheap trade. Okay. Sunday, Monday. Let's go into Monday's orb. Okay. So Monday's orb. Monday orb is right here. Okay, so we go and mark out our Monday orb. OC loves when I do this because he gets to have a vacation and eat some cerveza, drink some cerveza, have a little
Some
play.
tequila. Breakfast, taco breakfast.
Exactly. And the orb is valid all day long, just so you know. So what does this orb show me? That even when okay, so we start the morning off, right? I typically start around 8 a.m., right? We get a double top, a rejection, right? Roll over. Our orb is printed. We break out of the orb. We retest the orb. We can short here, take that down. Okay, double bottom, bullish divergence. We can long here, back into the orb. Okay. So you can see how it acts as like it's just basically an area that we're interested in all day, and we can trade based on it. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's a very good kind of guide for the day, right? Right. If we start breaking down, you can see the bull div in here, right? Perfect push back into orb. You can see we've reclaimed orb. Now we can treat the orb as support and resistance. Anytime you deviate above the orb, you can come back into the bottom of the orb. So you could short here, right? You deviate below the orb, you reclaim the orb, so you can go long here, back to the top of the orb. Okay, and it treats it all day long, basically as support and resistance. So there's a lot of trades in here, just based off of that first candle. Okay, so very effective. It takes a little bit of a price action and TA and understanding on that. You can't just long and buy and off of the orb. You have to have an understanding. Like in here, I can see the bullish divergence. Okay, right? We go on. I'm typically on a 5 or a 3 minute, right? So if we go in here and we zoom in, okay, I can see the order block here that we came up to tap, right? I can see that we came into probably a golden pocket resistance in here. There you go. Okay, so like you're adding, it's a guideline. It's not perfect, okay, but it's going to add a layer to your trading to kind of let you know where you are in relation to the day when it's starting. Okay, right? You got the bull div in here, you get the higher low, you get long here, you take it to the top of the orb, right? Vice versa. So very effective. Now, hopefully that helps you guys out. If you need me to go over how to set it up again, you just go into your Dynamics Pro. You go to the bottom. You can do New York window here. You change your session down in here to the first 9:30 to 9:15, that candle. Okay, and you're going to get your orb. There's your orb. Or you can mark it out manually. It's totally up to you. But that's an easy way to have it on your indicator, and you can just flick it on and off so it's not always on your screen, which is very convenient. Okay, so I'm out of this trade. Quick $380. Okay, so looking at this, what do I mean by cheap trade? Okay, so for me, DB Cooper, I'm looking every time when I get into a trade, right? I have a 1-to-3, 1-to-0.3 risk to reward ratio, right? I'm looking to risk 300 to make 900. That is typically what I trade every single day. When I have a cheap trade, it means that I can lower my risk management. I can still aim for my 900, but I can lower this. What does that mean? So in this exact trade right now that I just took, right? I am wrong. Okay, where am I wrong? I am wrong if we close below this low here. So I got long literally on this candle right here. Because why? We held orb. Okay, we held orb. So I go scalp long here. I'm tight to this low here. I'm being very cheap. Okay, I'm being very cheap. I love this trade because I'm wrong quickly. Okay, I lose $50 and I made $370. Pretty awesome risk to reward ratio, right? So if I can take trades with Confluence in my setups where I can be way more cheap, I love those kind of trades, right? I love those trades, right? I knew this morning with the short here, and I moved my stop loss a little bit too fast, obviously in reflection, but it was news. So we had the GDP that come out. But I know is if we start closing above this low in here, right? You give it a bit of wiggle room, but I know my stop loss isn't going above the high here. It could, like you could, that still fits my risk to reward, right? There's my risk to reward, right? So I think this morning I even put it here to start the trade, just above this high here. But it's still a cheap trade because it's not my full risk to reward. It's not my 300. It's typically, 150 or 100, right? So I get to be a little bit more cheap. Okay, so that's what I mean by a cheap trade. If I'm in half a position size, right, I can be cheap in a swing trade too, right? I can be cheap all around. Like if I was in a swing long here, right, and I'm in half a position size here, right? So I go long here, and let's say my stop is below this low, right, and my risk to reward is still valid. I can still manage, to take this trade and be anything. If I'm not risking a full 300 here, I'm being cheap, okay? Because my invalidation's here. I typically want to risk 300, right? So I could crank it up, right? I could, even on this trade, I could have gone full bore here and made my stop loss like this and still risked 300. I could have still done it here, put it on a big size, but I don't need to do that because I have a good R multiple and I'll take profits along the way anyways. So it's like, for me, I like a cheap trade because it's like very clear where am I wrong versus like I know that like if we're going up here, right, and my stop is below here, and if we close below there, I'm wrong. That's okay, right? How do you determine the amount? I trade the same amount every single time. I put $100,000 per trade. Okay, so my risk remains exactly the same every time. Okay, I have it copied and pasted because everybody asks me that. There it is right there. Okay, so I'm risking 0.3% of my account per trade. Okay, $2,500 worth of margin, risking 300 to make 900, right? That is my setup every single time. $100,000 on the trade, on my exchange every single time. So if I'm entering the trade, I'm putting 100K down. I'm typically have a 0.3 stop loss, and it's very repeatable because I'm not compounding my account anymore. When you're compounding your account, you make $100, on $1,000 account. Now my risk becomes 11, right? My 1% becomes 11, right? And then I'm trying to risk $11 to make $33, right? And then let's say and then I get up to $1,500, right? So I'm compounding. Then I'm trying to make $45, risking $15. That's compounding. For me, I already have an account that I trade with, right? Anything I make, I put into investments or into fiat, and then rotation from there. So I'm not compounding my account anymore. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, OC, I'm gonna go and have my breakfast now, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well then, guys, section is over. I'm just kidding. Oh man, you are going all out today, my friend. That is amazing. That is amazing. I was just taking advantage of reading through a couple of support tickets and trying to help the community here. But Also, I just copy your settings from the orb. I'm gonna be using your orb strategy. Maybe you can teach a little bit more on that in the future. I think that's amazing. I've heard about the orb before. We had, well, I should mention you have that, but I've
I'll
never
send you a
actually
video. I have one.
used it. Oh, that'll be amazing. I never used it myself, uh, but I don't know. I kind of like overlooked. It is one of those things like when you showed me the moon phases, right? I was like, moon phases. I always heard about moon phases, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I know it exists, right? It should be related because the moon affect people, right? And that's why we are called lunatics when there's a full moon, right? And then you show me the
Here
actual
you guys
chart.
go. Merry Christmas. Okay. This
What
is
is
from
it?
my Discord.
Oh, nice. Orb train. That is fantastic. Let me
That's
just
a
build here.
whole lesson I did for my Discord. So you guys have that.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. Can I put it into the important classes?
Yeah, if you want. I think there's
That'd
a
be
bit of
amazing.
market cipher in there, but it's all about orb.
Right. Yeah. That is what we're all about, right? So special thanks to AB Cryptord. Welcome. Welcome. Also, credit for my soul. I see you have readings this weekend. That is fantastic. So shout out to you. Let me take over right now and let me see what let me show you what I'm seeing here. So I just set up the orb. Here it is. Basically up and running. I'm gonna start looking into it, and then also, of course, I'm gonna be looking at your video to see how can I trade it. But looking into here, man, everything is just freaking red. But other than that, if I just go to my kind of like go back to basic cryptos, well then this is it. Look at this one, Ethereum, man. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Who would have thought, man? All right, so basically that is a plan A, and then plan B would have been breakout retest. But other than that, that is a cool. I'm not gonna keep it too long open for too long. This is just half of an entry. I'm gonna move my stop to entry as soon as we close this candle. Sorry about that. And we'll see how that plays out. At this point, I'm just moving very, very, very cautiously throughout the market. And that is because I think we're going to have a lot of volatility. And that is because bad data has been called out. Another one that is a very cool one that I mentioned at the beginning of the class was Litecoin, right? We were looking at a broadening wedge. Our plan A and only plan was longing the base right here. So we should be slightly on profits. That's cool. We still need, or we still can go farther lower, or a little bit lower in here. And guess what? Waiting for that flip of the ribbon, right? If we are not able to hold the dynamic reactor, I think we can even go a little bit farther by weakening down in here. I mean, I could even be holding that position, but still, it will worry me a little bit if I start seeing this support being taken. But again, as you can see, half of a position. I'm just going half into the altcoins because it is not for me the time to start jumping into full positions until I see a bottoming pattern on Bitcoin. Not a bottoming pattern, but a pattern that tells me, you know what, we're not going to be dumping for now. We're going to keep moving forward, which is either a double bottom, sweep of the lows, swing failure pattern, breakout retest, which includes a further move to the upside, breakout at the upper resistance, so on and so forth, right? And Atom is one of the ones that I really liked, but so far it's not really what it's not acting as I would love to, right? Nonetheless, as you can see, it is moving the same way that we were expecting, breaking through that head and shoulders lines, that triangle. Basically, the gold is within those boundaries. Breakthrough, where is our next support area? Well, then I am expecting that we go all the way down somewhere around these areas where we have not only our alert, and I'm going to be moving my alert slightly above in here. And you know what? Why not just slightly more in here into this area, but also to my liquidity zone. So when we come back into it, well, then I can take the next trade. And then it's not about the breakout. It's about the retest. Called it out in here and maybe trying to head switch or something, because on Atom, we're just into the infinite range. And look at that. I'm aiming for a better entry right there, and a better exit somewhere around here, around these areas. So this is the plan so far for Atom. XRP, man, XRP actually hit my alert right there. We were expecting that V-shaped recovery, or at least that hit of those lows. We are right now on possible entry zones. Did not had a recovery or a V-shape or a flip of the ribbon above here, above the zero line. But at this point, we are waiting for a flip of the ribbon right down here. I think I'm going to be front running this. I'm going to be aiming for a little bit of a lower movement in here, somewhere around, there we go, 2.1363. Solana, please. Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at Solana. All right, Solana, what are you looking at? Are you looking for a long or for a short? Although this looks a little bit bearish, by the way. But let me know, what are you biased to, or what would you like to take, a long or a short? All right, in the meantime, what I do see right from here, long. All right, let me just also almost get rid of this, right? Let's see that at this, we have a rounded top. This is not a good signal, all right? The only thing that could maybe transform this instead of a rounded top into maybe a lower channel, which I mean, morphology of the patterns, right? Remember, one pattern can transform into another one. And this is when, right now, I'm going to be removing most of this, all right? I see a rounded top, all right? But it's also truth if we discriminate a couple of candles, which is this candle right here, we could be looking at either a falling channel, right, or a falling wedge, right? Whatever you like. The point is that you have some point of reference there, all right? This is not looking good. Why? Usually when we have some wedges at the top, usually we break to the downside, although when we have a falling wedge, and let me clarify this, all right? When we have a falling wedge, we also want to have it at the bottom of a downtrend, because that usually indicates a reversal. At this point, this is kind of like a making or trying to make a bull flag. It is not, it is already not, because the pole, it is shorter, or better yet, the wedge, it is longer or bigger than twice of its initial opening here, all right? So this is not a bull flag. We already have ruled that out, and we're hitting the dynamic reactor. I would not be entering for long at this point. Why? Yes, we are very bullish. Perfect. We are on dynamic reactor. Perfect. But we are below the zero line. Let me just draw a zero line here. And I know I could be jumping in a little bit late. All right. Here's my zero line. Let me just lock it. But I first want to see a flip of the ribbon, and also look at your money flow. It is decreasing. If we lose money flow, we could be going deeper and steeper like this, all right? And that will mean that we could be piercing through dynamic reactor and hitting the next support. Where is the next support? Here. What happens between here and here? We are below dynamic reactor. So it's not about the breakout, it's about your retest, and off we go. All right. This is not for sure, but if you really want to jump in, this is your first entry, and then your secondary entry will be when you have flip of the ribbon at support or at support or at support. I rather at this point be aiming right here, because this is what I have two support zones combined. But remember, this is not set in stone. I can move it up or down depending when I see my flip of the ribbon. All right. Remember, at this point, look at how we have the flip of the ribbon at support. And this was a multiple support zone, right? I mean, I can now maybe start having right now my flip of the ribbon being right here. And that's it. I just take the long right there. Just remember that you need to change your mind as soon as you see your flip of the ribbon, right? What are you planning ahead or forecasting? It's your areas of entry, depending on your flip of the ribbon. So that's what I got on Solana. Any other requests, guys, for now? Let me know. What exactly do the red and green delta numbers mean? Exactly the difference. That is delta. Just look for what the delta means. Delta is just a difference. And we have delta everywhere. right? So are you talking about this one's right? It's just a difference between the volume. So right now you have 14.95% and 85.5%. What it means, whatever this percent is, the difference between the negative and the positive, let's just say a million, right? Whatever, right? Minus the negative, you have 4,000 or $41,098 in allocation there, all right? In bearish allocation. So a little caveat here, this is not allocation. It is actually the difference when we have the pullback. All right, so it was right here. So the delta means either the center or the difference, right? Depending what you're talking about. If you're talking about, for example, I don't know, a triangle. What is the delta of the triangle? The delta line. It is the center, right? It is the average, right? It is the result of the equilibrium. When you're talking about numbers, the delta is the difference, the equilibrium, one minus the other, right? So that is it. Does that answer your question, Creative for My Soul? Ethereum, why are you looking for Ethereum? We just went over Ethereum, but let's do it right now again. We already into an entry. Why? Because we are on dynamic reactor. So a little bit too late to take it at this point, but the exact same thing that we're looking at Solana. Ethereum, sorry, is 1,745. 1,745. Is that your entry, or I don't quite understand that? Can you look into WIF, please, guys? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yes, thank you. It looks like retest zone as well. Not really. All right, let me clarify that. Let me go to somewhere else that I don't have a lot of doodle links. Or if I have doodle links, let me just be able to get rid of them.
Doodles.
Doodles. Still learning English.
Mostly likes when I help him speak English better.
I really appreciate it, by the way. If you guys ever caught me saying something nonsense, please let me know. I'm always trying to improve my English.
Free English lessons from me too.
That's amazing. Love them. Take them any day of the week. So the delta is just a difference. Ignore the delta. That's what I would tell you, right? Ignore the delta. Why? You already have a visual difference between 100% and 0%, right? So how bullish is this zone? All right. So the delta really it only gets you when you're nerding in, if that makes sense. Why? Because you can compare the volume in money that acted here compared to the volume money that you have right now, minus what it needs to get there, right? And then who's acting. I mean, it just get overcomplicated, right? If you already know the mental process, it wouldn't be that complicated. But my advice would be ignore the delta. The delta is not telling you bounce, all right, or anything like that. It's not a reversal. It looks like a retest zone. What is a retest zone? It is the point, which is the dashed line, where the delta was calculated, all right? So it's not that you're looking at the delta. It is that you're looking at the area where it was calculated, if that makes sense. If you look at, for example, here, this is not called the delta. If I double click in here, this is called liquidity zones, and you can find them right here on the liquidity analysis. Those are liquidity zones. So maybe to explain a little bit more, the reversal or the retest zone, it is at the liquidity areas, all right? When liquidity breakout happen here, we expect, just like a support and resistance, to happen once again in the future. Why? Don't take this as a fact, because it cannot be a fact, all right? But this is closely related.
Tell me the truth.
Tell the truth. So, this is one of those things, right? That you need to wear my team full hat. But if we talk about hidden liquidity, ghost pools, right, or trading bots outside the brokers, right? What happens when a large whale wants to sell? He doesn't usually wants to show the whole world where his position is at, right? So what he does, he uses a bot. He sets his position on his bot, and whenever the price gets there, the bot executes either spot or instant instant man orders. All right. So the bot only kind of like makes it just a little bit a difference, just to compensate for the fees, and then start selling. In this case, because this is 100% bearish, right? So when we see, hey, here it was not charted volume, there was not order block, right? There was not something that told us that there was a sell off there. This usually indicates, right, or it's closely related because that's how the bots operate, right? Maybe there is a bot in there. Regardless, that was a liquidity unexpected reaction. Let's mark it. All right. So, can I tell you for sure that that was a bot? No. Can I tell you for sure that that was a dark pool? No. Can I tell you for sure that that was uncharted volume? Yes. So let's mark it, right? So just so you understand what are we trading on when we have liquidity zones, right? A liquidity zone is just uncharted, unexpected volume, either selling or buying, and we chart the difference, right? So you can see up in the future, when we get there, look at that. Did that react? Yes. Did that react? Yes, right? And does that tell us that this is a bot? With, I would say, and this, I'm pulling this number out of my sleeve, right? With a, I don't know, 60% certainty, I could speculate that, yeah, there is a bot, there's something selling at that area, right? So hopefully that answers your question. Let me pass it over to you, my friend. There's Ethereum request.
Ethereum, let's go, baby.
Let's go.
OC, OC wakes up in the middle of the night and goes, Vitalik.
I need to call him. Shit.
Oh man, yeah, ETH is looking bullish, baby.
It is, man.
I think everything looks really bullish right now, bro. I think everything's gonna absolutely fire off, man. I think this was just a little bit of. So why do I say this? Because right now everybody scared, right? What do we have here? We have. Come on, OC. Look at this. Look at the buy up here, bro. We got 3 drives. You're getting bull divs at the wazoo right now. I don't know. This looks good to me. Now, why? Because of this little effort right here. This guy right here. This is why. This guy right here. Okay? This guy right here. We go over to Bitcoin. Let me get rid of all my scribbles for you guys. We have not fully retraced on Bitcoin. We got this guy right up here. Same dude. Same guy. Okay? He's saying, please come and hold my hand while we take the roller coaster, okay? He wants you to hold his hand before we take the roller coaster. Okay, that's my thought. I would love to see 3 drives, okay? 3 drives. This is like my if I was to have a wet dream, this would be it. Okay? Up into our 618. Oh, pushback here. Everybody, oh, bye. We're going to the moon, baby. And then absolutely crushes everybody. That's my plan. Not to say that there isn't liquidity all down in here. Like, I'm still prepared for us to come down. But this, to me, this move right here, not closing below the low here, holding the higher lows intact here. V-shaped recovery. halfway up the candle, reclaiming the range. Okay. Look, big volume nipples. Okay, we got 2 of them. We got 1 more to go. We hold this volume nipple, we push up to this one, okay? Now we go back to Ethereum. Okay, pushing back in, sweeping of the lows. Obviously a little bit more volatile. If we can hold the value area low here, okay, 1763. If we can hold here, there's no reason why we don't rotate to the highs of the range. Okay. If we roll over here, which is still possible, okay, we look to come back for this little order block right here at 17,000 psychological level. So if this, then that. I wouldn't press buy right here, okay? In this situation here, you want to see your oscillator turn back up probably on a 1 hour here. We're probably getting a little exhausted. Yeah, look at that. Look at that, oversold, okay? Starting to have some nice posturing here, right? What are we doing right now here? We're clipping. Okay, so we want to see this thing push up, retest, and bullish divergence or bullish divergence here. Okay, off we go. Flip to green. We want to see something like this. Okay, I think that can be very bullish if the bulls want to continue to push price higher, which I do believe they want to. Okay, when we zoom out on Ethereum and we go to like a 4 hour here, we can see that we are trying to gain acceptance into the higher range. Okay, what is that range? Our lows being at 1780 here. So we're trying to push up and reclaim this low in here, right? Because if we're looking at this in general, we have broken down, we have broken down, we have broken down, we are pushing back up right now. Okay, we are trying to reclaim this area in here and start trading within this range up here. Okay, so not out of the woods yet. Yes, we can still come back and retest previous highs. This is always my favorite kind of trade, okay? I'll even put an alert here for you guys, so I'm not fully bullish. I don't want to be a bull tart. I just want to be prepared, right? So if we roll over, we bounce off 17. Okay, this would be my big giga swing long, big daddy Vitalik trade, okay? All the way up to 2,000 bucks. That would be my trade. However, patience will prevail, right? If we hold here, we reclaim right now. So we're looking for a V-shaped recovery. What also gives me confidence in this is our NASDAQ. Look at the NASDAQ, the US 100, the NASDAQ. Full recovery from this dump this morning. Right back to the support level. Okay? Right back. Does this look... This looks like a liquidity sweep. We had all this liquidity in here. We have swept it. Now they're sending price back in. Chopping around here is still bullish in my opinion. Okay, so that's how I'm looking at it right now. Hopefully that helps you. But for Ethereum right now, it needs to hold the low here. Okay, doesn't mean we can't sweep down and then bounce. Okay, and then we look to trade back up to the point of control and up to the highs here. We want to see this hold first before we get any sort of long in here. Unless you're scalping, then you can take a little bit more risk, but be aware that it's Ethereum. It's a bit more volatile. But you can see we do have support in here, right? We have this node in here, this price action in here. We have the lows in here. 3 drives down to the lows. Failure to swing this high. That is my main reason, is that we haven't come for this guy yet. And we haven't come for it on Bitcoin yet. So thank you. I cut my soul? Question mark. I'm not sure what you mean. Are you in a soul trade? Are you in the soul train? 142. Massive level of support, retesting previous highs. I think Sol looks bullish. We talked about Sol. It's all about this donkey. Okay, we won't call it that. It's all about this volume node over here. We have this big volume. As long as we hold this big donkey node here. Okay, this is weird. Like, this is really weird. But as long as we hold this thing here, this big bulge, okay, which our low is 140, right? So we go over here. As long as we hold that, which we are, right? As long as we hold this green box, I'm bullish. I might even consider a long from here, swing long up to 160. Where are we looking to go? Yeah, 160. Lots of options here if we hold. Okay. I'm not downplaying the amount of liquidity we have below us. Okay. I'm not denying that this is all very juicy. But if the bulls want to stay in control, this must hold. That's my opinion, not financial advice.
Nice. All right, guys. So we have reached the end of today's session. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed it. A lot of big trade out there. Be careful. Manage your, I would say, your risk, but also manage how many coins you're getting. Because if Bitcoin goes down, it's gonna drag everything with it, right? So I would say see how much you're willing to invest right now in these conditions. Pick your best coins, get your best possible areas of entries, and if you really want to trade them, go for them, right? So other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining. Alex, always a pleasure to trade with you and to teach with you. And by the way, thank you so much for that extra class of orbs. I'm going to be posting it on important classes. That is amazing, my friend.
You can get your
And
crystal
thank
ball and teach everybody.
Oh, I do have my orb. There we go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Awesome, bro. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right.
See you guys. Bye bye.